First, it was our pipelines, now our food. Two cyber attacks in less than a month, allegedly by Russian hackers. And now transportation as well, as hackers with suspected ties to China breach New York's MTA. Let's welcome retired U.S. Army four-star General Jack Keane. Let's start here, General, with the cyber attacks that we're seeing linked to Russia. First, it started with the Colonial Pipeline. Now we're talking about our food system. This is a lot to happen in a very short period of time. What's next?
Yeah, well, to put this in context, so our audience really understands what's taking place here, is Russia, China, our adversaries out there who have an offensive cyber capability. North Korea has one also, and Iran. But right here with Russia and China, they're conducting massive cyber warfare as an instrument of national power. And for what end? Simply to disrupt and undermine Western democracies with a particular focus on the United States. This is a major, major instrument of power that they are using, and they continue to use it because, by and large, with some exceptions, they get away with it. So let's deal with Russia. What they're doing here, there's three means that they have. They use government hackers that work for their military intelligence unit, the GRU, and also for their FSB, which is the equivalent to our CIA. And secondly, they also hire criminal hackers, criminal cyber hackers, as they did in hiring Alexei Balin, who was indicted by our FBI because he, back in 2017, hacked into Yahoo's database and captured over 500 million email accounts. So that's a cyber criminal hired by a government agency in Russia to conduct an attack on the United States and others. The third way they do is what we're seeing here with the pipeline attack and the meat distribution attack, and that is cyber criminal activity is widespread in Russia. Russia's very much aware of it. They tolerate it and they authorize it, although they may not direct it. They don't pull the trigger, but they certainly know what's going on because it supports their overall objective.
Okay.
It's undermining the United States' confidence in our institution. That is exactly what is taking place, and this is a national security issue, and it deserves a lot of attention, and we should talk about what we should do about it.
General, I want to stop you there because that's an excellent point. President Biden was asked about this specifically today. Here's what he had to say. I want you to watch this and then react.
Mr. President, will you retaliate against Russia for this latest ransomware attack?
We're looking closely at that issue.
Do you think Putin is testing you?
No.
Mr. President, any decision on the
General, that's what we're hearing from the president.
Well, to characterize that, I think it's a pretty inadequate response. No, certainly Biden is testing, certainly Putin is testing Biden as he did for every other president, whether they're Democrats or Republicans. That's not so much the issue. But the other response is misguided. And here's what I'm saying. Here's what we should be doing about this. This should be part of a whole-of-government cyber campaign folded into our national security strategy to counter these attacks. The first thing we should do is attack them ourselves with our cyber capability. We did that in the 2018 and the 2020 elections with success. That should be going on now if it hasn't already started. The second thing is the pipeline, who you mentioned, Jackie, that attack is a serious attack on our critical infrastructure. That, as a result of that attack, we should have sanctioned Russia very significantly in the industry where it's going to matter to them, and that is their gas and oil industry, because they're a single commodity industry. And then the third thing is, because a lot of this is in the private sector, I think it's high time that Congress pass some legislation dealing with this issue so it incentivizes the private sector not only to have some of the best IT systems in the world, which many of our private sector companies have, because it's how they make money using the efficiency of those systems, but to harden their defenses, because many companies do not want to pay for that because it takes away from the top line.
General,
we need to get the government involved.
I think a lot of people would agree with you and your approach to this, but they look at this administration and say they're really not doing anything about it, not to our knowledge, and they certainly don't want to go on the offensive in any way here.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right, Jack. I mean, we're literally rolling over. We're not connecting the dots. Listen, our intelligence services are certainly telling the president that Russia may not have pulled the trigger on this meat distribution or the Colonial Pipeline themselves, but they are sanctioning it, they're tolerating, they're authorizing it, they're welcoming it, and we should hold them accountable. It makes no sense to walk away from that. What's going to happen is they're going to keep coming on and doing this. We have to recognize this is major cyber warfare conducted by our adversaries to undermine American institutions and the people's confidence in it. That is a significant national security strategy, and we have to push and fight back.
General Jack Keane, you know, we look at this cyber warfare, it's the warfare of the future. If we are not ready to combat and be aggressive and offensive about it, we're going to be in a lot of trouble. General, great to see you. Thank you so much for your insight tonight.
Yeah, that was well said. Thank you.
Sure.